All right, guys, today we're going to do a little towing comparison. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. We're going to compare the Cummins 5th Gen 2019 to 2024, same truck, same engine, to a 2024 Ford F-250 with the 7.3 liter gas engine. This towing review has been something I've been interested in for a while because since the 7.3 came out, I just think this is like the best HD gas engine option. But everybody wants to know, how do they tow? I've driven these trucks hundreds of miles doing regular MPG loops down day to day. I want to see what it's going to do. It's nothing crazy. We're going to be about 7,500 pounds or so, but we're going to go do a little loop. It's going to pull in a little bit of city, a little bit of rural, a little bit of highway, probably going to be about 40, 50 mile loop, but we're going to compare both trucks, going to see how the driving characteristics and fuel economy. So you've seen me tow this trailer behind the Cummins, behind the Raptor R. We're going to be doing the same trailer today. It's about 7,500 pounds. One thing that's cool, we're going to be able to check out another video with the B&W Continuum hitch adjustment playing around, and we'll be able to see the adjustability with going from a Ram so quickly to a Super Duty and playing around with the weight distribution. But I think it's going to be dialed in really nicely. But what's cool about that whole system is that you can go hook this up to multiple vehicles, and I don't need a tool to adjust that entire hitch system. I can adjust the shank without tools, and I can adjust the weight distribution without tools. So 7,500 pound trailer. This is a Keystone Passport. It's drive 6,800. We probably about 7,500 pounds right now. It's perfectly set up for my truck here. So I'm gonna reset my fuel economy and trip, and we will go do this. All right, let's hear that big, beautiful Cummins purr. Hopefully we don't get a regen because I'm at about sitting just under 25%. Turn on our tow haul and exhaust brake. Let's do this. Sounds kind of funny, but the one thing I'm looking for is to see how does this Cummins pull my trailer out of the driveway versus the 7.3 gas, because I got a little bit of an incline on my driveway, and it's not a big deal, but I mean, it is a little bit to kind of get it out. I'll be curious to see how hard does the 7.3 have to work to do this. Kind of see right now, luckily I don't need to put it in 4-wheel drive. I'm actually going to reset my fuel economy right now just because I did have to mess around there for a few minutes. But another cool thing we're going to compare is we're going to compare the tow mirrors and just how they work versus the Ford mirror. Okay, going to do our first little acceleration here. So you can see the Cummins pulling the trailer. Kind of see between 1,500 and 2,000 RPMs, trans shift and smooth. So how we're going to do this trip today is I'm probably going to have a little bit of rural 55 mile per hour driving mixed in with a stretch of probably half or so 70 mile per hour towing on the highway. So, and it will also be neat to kind of compare the engine braking, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll just kind of see what does overall this thing do. And we'll see the first part of the loop for fuel economy. With this is going to be a lot more traffic and stop and go, and then, like I said, some highway. My favorite part about the Cummins is right here. I'm accelerating up a slight grade, and I'm at 1,500 RPM, 1,700. I mean, it's just so chill. I don't know if you could see the speed almost at 50. I don't even have to go above 2,000 RPMs. Also for this test, I don't plan on going over the speed limit. So 55 mile per hour or so on these 2-lane roads, and 70 on the highway, which to some is too fast and to some it's too slow. But that's what I'm going to be doing, that's the posted speed limits for both. And I'm going to do the same thing for both trucks. We're going to run the same PSI also, about 1,300. Okay, accelerating onto the highway now. Check out the RPMs. Still haven't went above 2,000 RPM. We're going to set the cruise at 70 today. Now we're in 6th gear. I'm not really pushing it too crazy hard, guys. The whole idea is just kind of give you guys some comparisons. Okay, we got the cruise set at 70. You can see my tire pressure. I'm 60, 65 in all 4 of the tires. Today, what we're really looking for is vehicle ride, drive dynamics. How does the stability of this thing feel versus the Ford? How's the power feel? How's the fuel economy? And we're trying to have as many equals as possible. The reason I'm excited to do the Tremor is because I think the Tremor is kind of like Ford's off-the-shelf version of a truck versus the truck that I built. Ram doesn't have anything like the Tremor. They don't have a 35-inch tired lifted diesel truck from the factory with locking rear differential and a limited slip front. Ford does have that. So I kind of built something similar to that, and we're going to kind of see the comparison of how they perform today. And I'm sitting right at probably around 1650, just shy of 1700 RPM, sitting right around 9 miles per gallon instantaneous. Mile marker 130. We're going to do the exact same thing with the other truck. Overall on the trip, we're hovering right around 9.2, and we're 10 miles in. Plan to count on this little drive today is how many times does the Cummins slip out of overdrive into fifth gear while towing this trailer down the highway. So far, I think I'm about 4 or 5 miles in. It's been in sixth gear the entire time. I'll be curious to see how many times it does that. And I'm going to count it towards the end. I'll try to catch a few on video if possible. And I don't think it will be any. We'll do the same thing with the 7.3 liter Godzilla. 68 to 69 decibel. So 68, 69 decibel, 70 miles an hour in the Cummins on a flat straightaway. Not too bad. Now you get to see the engine braking. My foot is off the brake completely. This thing's just slowing down all through engine brake right now. Just incredible. So cool. Ram, the Cummins definitely is best in class when it comes to this. And if you see right now, it's not even making a big engine brake, but it's still enough to slow us down from 70. So we're at the halfway point. We're going to now do the same loop, and we're gonna head back. I think we went about 25 miles or so. So there's a lot of really great towing channels on YouTube. And some are bringing just phenomenal content and video production, and like, you know, I love watching like the fast lane truck guys. Sometimes they do some really cool stuff on their Ike Gauntlet. But here's the caveat. Some of that stuff is so extreme. There's a lot of guys that are towing that grade, you know, across the country. But there's also a lot of people that have never seen anything that extreme towing. I've been towing trailers for 20 years, over 20 years across the country, and I've never towed the Ike Gauntlet before. I've never been to that part of the US towing a trailer. And so I think, you know, I try to gear my videos more towards more realistic towing. Like, here's the straightaway, open farm field, you're gonna get wind whipping across both sides of the road. How do these trucks do? And that's what I'm trying to gear my content towards, more the 95% of the use case, not the 5% of the use case. But, you know, that's what's cool. You can find channels to kind of suit your needs. It's kind of a little bit of a windy day today. I don't know if you can pick up the wind on the trees, but we're definitely getting some crosswinds on the roads. Got a more flat road. Let's check decibel meter reading again. 66, 67. Not bad, honestly. It's actually quieter than what I'd expect. I thought that the Lariat was a little quieter when I did a review the other day. It'll be interesting how we do this Lariat, different truck, but very similar outfitted, how this one does. So what's cool about this is, of all the miles I've done, highway and rural, I haven't had one downshift to go up an incline or anything. This thing is steady Eddie, super chill, pretty quiet. This is why you buy a diesel. If you just want a really relaxed towing experience, you got it with these things. It's almost kind of boring. It's so relaxed, which is nice. If you're going across the country, you're towing long distances, this is definitely a really awesome option. So this is not much of an incline, but it will be interesting just from a data, but it will be interesting to see, will the 7.3 require a downshift on this slight little incline? The Cummins, I know, is going to hold strong. It's just going to increase the boost. Let's see where we're at boost. Yeah, 19 pounds of boost, which is still really nothing. So to be curious to see, what does the 7.3 have to do? The Cummins didn't even have to come out of overdrive. I'm a little disappointed. I thought the Cummins would actually do a little bit better fuel economy wise. I did not have a regen either during this. Kind of see DPF is good to go. It did never go into an active regen, but it had a passive regen, which, if you're not familiar with diesels, they have a particulate filter in the exhaust system that gets full with the black smoke. You know, when you see people rolling coal, the filter catches that. Well, I had a passive regen, which means the engine makes enough power and enough heat is put into it, it just naturally cleans itself. That's what took place in this. And you know the difference between active and passive because you actually get a message on the display. It says active regeneration cleaning process. I never got that. There we go, 9 miles per gallon for the 48.4 miles towing. We're gonna take a measurement from the hitch down to the ground to understand where the shank position is on this, so that if the other truck is set up the same way, we won't need to make any adjustments on the hitch. So I'm gonna do that right now. The ball is sitting about 24.25, it looks like from here. So we're gonna make sure the ball is set up the exact same way in the other truck. Okay, we just put the shank in the Super Duty, and we notice we are about 1 inch high. So we're gonna actually try to drop that one hole in the shank to get it in the same position as the Ram. And just like that, dropping these 2 pins gets us to the exact same position. Okay, now we're going to hitch up the F-250 to the travel trailer. One nice feature Ford has, like the Ram, you can really zoom in on this hitch, which is pretty darn cool. Boom, that's it. One thing when I like to set the hitch, I like to pull the parking brake just to make sure the vehicle doesn't move. All right guys, got the 250 Tremor hooked up. We've got the hitch set up correctly per the directions of B&W. Okay, let's see how the 7.3 pulls this thing up the hill. So far, no problem. Really impressed with the low end power, you know, below 1,000 RPMs. And in some ways, I seriously think it might be a little bit better than the Cummins because there's no lag. Okay, actually the trailer is perfectly level. So the adjustments with the B&W that we set up were correct. I think it's just my pad is off a little bit, but you could see the trailer is like perfectly level. The truck's sitting really good too. We'll check our pressure now. We're a little bit high at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is drop this down. I'm gonna drop this down to about 1,000 and then I'm gonna pump it up. Make sure you screw this little bad boy in. So you don't want that to loosen up. I'm gonna pump it to about 13, I think it's about 1,300. There we go, we got similar pressure now. All right, so we got the trailer set up correctly, we got the mirror set up correctly. Let's put it in tow haul mode and go. Okay, we're gonna reset our trip. Start right now. Let's see how this 7.3 liter does. So far, acceleration, not bad. Maybe 2,500 RPMs. With similar amount of acceleration as the Cummins. Be curious to see how engine braking and everything kind of compares. One of my favorite features of the new Super Duty is this screen right here. This tow menu is awesome, and everything you see there from measurements and in the right side, the My View area, that's all customizable in your tow settings. I love it. Okay, what do I think so far? Straight up, I'm impressed. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Guys, I'm in 10th gear, 57 mile per hour, the same area I was with my Cummins, in 10th gear overdrive. This thing's incredible, honestly. I cannot believe how good this thing is at towing. Now granted, this is not a crazy heavy trailer, and you can see tire pressures are pretty similar to the other truck. Both trucks have 35-inch tires. You can clearly believe the hype. I'm in a flat right now. I don't know if you can tell. I'm in 10th gear, and I'm at 1,800 RPMs. We're on a slight incline, going uphill. I'd say 22, 25, 2,600 RPMs, accelerating. Same clip as I got with the Cummins. I don't notice any less acceleration, except I do have to go about 500 to 700 RPMs higher. But it's fairly quiet. I don't hear a ton of engine noise. It's not like the smaller V8s, like the 5.0 or the 5.3 or the 6.2s where they really got a rev. So that's good. I've done a ton of videos on the new Super Duties not towing, and trim comparisons, interior comparisons. I just did a video, this is part of a 3-part series where I did a video comparing some Lariats and Lariat Ultimates and interior trim. But just overall comfort of this truck, I gotta say, feels pretty good. Steering wheel feels good. I'll be curious for road noise and comfort there, because I'm pretty impressed with the performance of this 7.3. Okay, let's see how it does accelerating onto the highway. We're in 6th gear right now, 2,600 RPMs, 27, just touched 3,000. Is it gonna shift? 3,100 RPMs, all right. down to 2,500, 2,700 RPMs, 28. And we're settling about, I'm gonna say 2,400 RPMs right now. About to set the cruise control, we'll set it at 70. Same as the other truck. We're in 8th gear right now. And at about 20, I'm gonna say 24, 2,500 RPMs. I'll be real curious to see, can this thing settle into 9th gear on the highway? But even at this RPM, it's not bad right now. There we go, 9th gear. So we're at 9th gear, 2,000 RPMs, 10th gear. We are in 10th gear overdrive in a gas HD. This is the first gas truck I've ever towed a trailer like this that could hold overdrive. I am blown away right now. Literally, I've never been in any EcoBoost, power boost, natural aspirated, and I've even got a slight incline right now, and I'm still in 10th gear. And I'm actually at about, I'm gonna say 1,900 RPMs. Hands down, I'm impressed. No question right now. Okay, we did just downshift. It skip shift from 10th to 8th. So if you remember when we did the Ram, I said I'll count how many downshifts I get with the Cummins. On the entire 50-mile loop, I got a fat whopping 0. No surprise, right? So we did just get 1 downshift. I think we're gonna see more of that, but generally speaking, that's still pretty impressive. Now, I wonder, I could probably force this thing to hold 9th gear and maybe we get less downshifting, and we'll see if this does that, but now we're back into 10th gear. So this powertrain clearly feels comfortable enough with this load to hold 10th gear. I'm impressed. I'm still in 10th gear and there is a slight incline. Is it gonna downshift? So far it has not. There we go, it did. So it did just downshift to 8th gear. Now it'd be interesting if I locked out 10th gear, I wonder if it could hold 9th and not downshift into 8th gear. So we're gonna follow this now. We've had 2 downshifts. We will follow this and see if I lock out 10th gear, if the 8th gear kind of falls out and it will just hold 9th gear then. Let's see how long this thing stays in 8th gear. In fact, I'm just gonna try it right now. 9th gear. Okay, I just forced it into 9th gear. I'm gonna see if I can force 10th. Yep, force 10th gear. Okay, so we just forced 10th gear. I'm right next to a semi right now. You can tell it doesn't like this, so I'm gonna let it drop to 9th and see if it'll speed up. I'm gonna put it back to drive. Okay, it dropped to 8th. So you can clearly tell this thing would prefer to be an 8th on the slight incline, which is not a big deal. Okay, it dropped to 7th right there. So if it really has to drop, it goes to about 3,000 RPMs, which is still not terrible. 2,400 RPMs now. So trans temps, 221, engine coolant temp 194, engine oil temp 210. Not bad, that's pretty similar to what I've seen with other Ford vehicles. Engine oil temp on my Raptor R, I was hitting 242 degrees with this trailer, and it was 15 degrees cooler outside than it is right now. Now this is a windier area. Now we've had 4 downshifts so far for the first part of this trip. So we're in 9th gear right now, about 2,000 RPMs, 70 going down the road. Back into 10th gear, kind of in a flat now. It did downshift again. Okay, so I'm thinking about locking out 10th gear at this point and seeing if the shifting stops. Let's see, let's just play around. I just pushed manual mode on the steering column, put it in 9th. Let's just see if that kind of holds it in tight and it will never touch 8th gear this way. Okay, in 9th gear, I'm at 66 mile per hour. So I'm gonna drop it to 8th and it's probably gonna pick it back up. We'll see, yep, speeding back up. So I see why the transmission was actually jumping to 8th, because from 10th to 9th wasn't enough to hold 70. So I think that's the 5th downshift now. It does require it to get into 8th gear, but it's right in between 8th and 9th. We have a slight incline right now. I don't know if you can see it, slightest grade. We're still holding 70. Now it's dropping 69, 68, 67. So I think if you don't really care about losing 3 mile per hour on an incline, you could just let this motor kind of like work a little bit and it'd be completely adequate. So what would I say about the handling of the Super Duty? Now, I've driven a bunch of Super Duties and I towed 6,000 miles with my 23 F-350 with the high output Tremor. Same truck as this, but just with the diesel engine. I think the Tremor tows pretty good. I've wondered, I'd love to do a back-to-back comparison of a non-Tremor, just standard F-350 to kind of compare. I think stability-wise feels very similar to my Ram. I don't feel one really any better or any worse. I've got the lane keeping system on. I'm gonna turn it off. So conditions today, it's a sunny, beautiful day. We do have a little bit of a wind. You can see the trees blowing a little bit, so it's not conducive for the best conditions, but we did back to back. So that's what's important about this test. Same day, same time, same trailer, same hitch, same tire pressures, same loop, same driver, same amount of payload. I'm trying to have as much commonality between these two tests, and this will give us, you know, a little more information as far as how close these trucks are for fuel economy and handling. We missed our exit, so this loop is actually gonna be a little bit longer with the F-250 than the Ram 2500. So far, I'm really impressed with the 7.3. This is no question the best natural aspirated towing experience I've had with a heavy duty truck. I would consider this truck in a heartbeat. We made a slight adjustment on the hitch, dropped about 200 PSI. Want to see how that affects the weight distribution. Wondering if we had a little too much with the 7.3 truck. So we dropped it down a few hundred PSI just for comparison's sake, going the other direction now. So one of the big differences you notice when you go to a gas truck is you lose a significant amount of engine braking. So if engine braking is a big requirement for towing, any of the diesel options are going to be better than the gas options. And it's not just picking on Ford with the 7.3. There's no gas engine that has great engine braking, except there's a caveat. I have to say, my Raptor R engine braking was awesome. That was definitely the best engine braking I've had on a gas engine, but in general, it's not a great towing engine because the thing revs to the moon, it's super loud, and it gets really bad fuel economy. Awesome vehicle, just not a great towing engine. And we are in 10th gear overdrive. So let's see how long this thing will hold 10th gear. Now we're gonna have to get around the semi here. Okay, we're in 9th gear right now, right at 2,000 RPMs. You can see we're having no problem accelerating. In fact, we're even going up a slight grade and back into 10th gear. So I think towing with this trailer, I think the ideal gear would probably be holding it in 10th gear or 9th gear, not 10th gear. With the conditions we have today, I'd almost want to say lock out 10th gear. It'll do it, and it actually does it okay. Like right now, this whole time we've been in 10th, but it seems like 9th gear gives it a little bit more safety factor. Yep, I'd say about 68 decibel. That's pretty good, actually. I don't think that's bad at all. It's very similar to the Cummins. Now, it gets a little louder. I was hoping to catch a downshift there. Now, let's look at our instantaneous fuel economy right now. Right now, I'd say we're getting about, man, just shy of 10. But our average is obviously less than that. But right here, 70 miles an hour. So you can definitely tell there is more of a headwind, the opposite direction. So that's why we were shifting more, because on this side of the highway, I've only had, I think, 2 downshifts. The other side, I think I had 7. But look at my fuel economy is also a lot better too. So, you know, right now if I continually kept this fuel economy, I'd probably be, right now I'm getting 11. Instantaneous is 11. That's incredible. But really, you know, you got to take the average of the two. I think this could be fair conditions. I think this could be a 8 to 9 mile per gallon towing gas truck, which I think is really good considering that the Cummins is maybe 10 miles per gallon. This whole time I've been talking, I've been in 10th gear the entire time. So you want to know what RPMs you're at. 70 miles an hour with 430 gears and a Tremor. 10th gear right now. Oh, I'd say you're about 1950 RPMs is my guess. Pretty impressed though. Check that out though. I mean, I'm literally holding 10th gear overdrive. That's incredible for a gas engine. So our coolant temp's been consistent right around 190, 192. Trans temp hovering right around 212. Oil temp 206. There you go. I caught the downshift on the decibel meter reading. You could tell it picked up about 2 decibel when it dropped from 10th to 8th. Now back to 9th. Kind of split the difference, makes sense. From an interior comfort and sound, this thing's really not any louder than my Cummins for interior sound. That's impressive. You know, so if you're thinking, man, I want a diesel because I want a quiet driving experience, this shifts more, but it's not really any louder interior sound than my Cummins. Pulling a slight grade, hear the motor's working a little. Wow, I can't believe it didn't downshift. There we go, just jinxed myself. It gets all the way to the top and then downshifts. That's hilarious. Like literally now it can drop down. That's silly, but it held. It didn't even lose 1 mile per hour on that climb. So who is this truck really for? Well, I think it's someone that sees the value in not a $10,000 diesel engine. Maybe they want simple maintenance. They can work on it long term. Maybe they want more payload. There's a lot of people this works for. Look at the flag, you can kind of tell the idea how much wind direction we got. I'm saying 10, 15 mile per hour. Crosswind. It's not at our back, it's crosswind. But I think this thing's awesome, honestly. I really do. I'm super impressed with this motor and how well it tows. I never thought this would have done as good as it did. I've had the 6.2 gas engine from General Motors and Ford. They both do good, but nothing like this thing. I mean, under 2,500 RPM torque in this thing is awesome. The thing that just impresses me is most gas engines, as soon as you just start pushing them at all, they just downshift immediately. This thing doesn't. It tries to make it work in 10th gear, and it does it. And it's got 10 gears, so it could go through all the gears if you wanted more power. It doesn't have to. And so I'm impressed by that. And in fact, I'm gonna quit messing around. I'm gonna try to put this thing in eco mode now. And I'm curious to see when I put it in eco mode, if it will hold these inclines even better and not wanna drop out of gear. Here's another crowd favorite feature Ford has. There's a setting in here where you can turn on trailer side view. You can turn on trailer side view in the setting. So I'm gonna turn my right turn signal on right now to get in the right lane. Watch the middle display. Boom. How cool is that? I totally dig that. If you notice, we did downshift from 10th gear to 8th gear, about 2,500 RPMs right now. The Cummins obviously did not. So the Cummins did the full loop and had 0 downshifts. This is probably gonna have somewhere in the neighborhood of, I wanna say 14, 15 downshifts, which is not a big deal because the engine's kind of quiet. It doesn't scream to the moon at 5,000 RPMs and kind of annoy you. It's not like the smaller displacement V8s that kind of will. But I don't think that's too bad, honestly. I love the side view. How great is that? Okay, we're getting off the highway loop portion of this test. The one downside, like I mentioned, no engine braking. I'm gonna try to mess around though and see what I can get engine braking though, just with letting it manually downshift. Still nothing compared to the Cummins. So if you're looking for engine braking, you're not gonna get it here. So there's where we ended up on fuel economy, 7.6 miles per gallon. See some of the temps. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with that. All right, guys, that was not what I was expecting. I thought for sure the 7.3 was gonna really struggle, and I am impressed 100% I would consider one of these now. And I'm glad I did this, because before this has been a thought on my mind for 4 years now, is okay, 7.3 is great. Everybody says it's great. But until you put a trailer behind it and firsthand see for yourself, it's really hard to say, yes, that's exactly what I want. And now after doing it, I'd 100% consider a 7.3. This is hands down the best towing gas engine I've ever towed with. This isn't a heavy trailer. You know, we're talking 7,500 pounds, but it pushes a lot of air. And I've noticed these enclosed trailers, they're just not conducive for fuel economy and putting a lot of strain on powertrain and whatnot. This truck's capable of 20,000 pounds towing. But for me, man, I would absolutely consider one of these for towing our travel trailer. I think this would be an awesome option. So without a doubt, I would consider 430 geared 7.3 Super Duty. I don't know what the 373s would be like. I'm sure it wouldn't be that big of a difference, but in my opinion, if you're getting a truck like this for towing, I'd just skip the 373s and go right to the 430s. I think this is a setup to get, and I'd probably go with the Tremor package, just because you do get a little lift, a little bit better axles, and a little more off-road, and you get the overload springs in the rear. The 7.3 is a home run. No doubt, Ford did a great job on this powertrain. Absolutely surprised. I'd love to do a 6.6 GM gas versus one of these. Now they got the 10-speed behind that. That motor's supposed to put out pretty good numbers as well for low-end torque, but I think it's going to have a hard time beating that 1,800 to 2,400 RPM torque that this motor puts out. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy the video, guys. This is the second video of a 3-video series that I'm going to dive deeper now into the details, and let's go and run an analysis and compare gas versus diesel and what might make sense for you. That'll be the next video. Thanks for watching.